Hello, everybody. This is Wise here from Save Max Superstars. Today, we are conducting our first time home buyers program. Our exclusive guests today are Rohit Kohli from Kohli Mortgages. Rohit's been a mortgage broker for past 2 years, and he is actually reached one of the top 10% and ranked 60th in Canada wide. Rohit, welcome to the show. Rohit's with Mortgage Intelligence. Welcome, Rohit, to the show.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Wes. Um, Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us, taking time to learn about this extremely important process of buying your first home, number one. And number two can sometimes be an overwhelming process for first-time home buyers. So, with my few years of experience in mortgage industry, um, guiding and educating our first-time home buyers on building wealth and long-term real estate goals, I know how important it is to share the knowledge, the benefits of first-time home buying process. Therefore, the goal of today's session is to answer any questions about first-time home buyer process, benefits available to first-time home buyers, and a good rundown of things you should be aware of as a first-time home buyer. So let's jump right in.
So,
Wha-
yeah, as you
Sorry.
guys can see on the screen, the very first topic Rohit's got is, are you ready to buy? So, we have some of our first time home buyers here. We've got Harsha, we've got Andrea. Guys, how do you feel about are you ready to buy?
Hopefully, if I can find something I can afford.
Harsha, anything from your side?
Yeah, we are ready, like based on the market stands and interest.
Okay. Rohit, can you elaborate on this topic?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to. So buying your first home. So if I go with my experience and what I've been discussing with my clients over the years and trying to, have those conversations on the real estate and having your own property, I would say home ownership can make a great financial sense. Over the long term, residential real estate have been a very strong asset, showing excellent appreciation, especially in today's market, which I discussed with Harsha a few weeks ago as well, where market has now tilted towards the buyer due to the high interest rates and lower house prices. It makes sense to take that first step of buying home. This is probably one of the better times for the first time home buyers to enter the market. Obviously, we've seen what has happened in the last 6 to 8 months. The interest rates have gone up, but the prices have actually come down literally anything between 50 to 150,000, depending on the type of house as well. So if you're dreaming of your own home, then there's a good news. Getting into today's housing market isn't out of question, and you're ready to buy if you have a stable job and you have money coming into every month over and above your expenses. You do have some money saved for down payment, and we're going to get into the details of the down payment. We'll tell you some tricks of how to arrange the down payment as well. And then the other important factor is the credit bureau. As long as you have some credit cards and you've done pretty well in paying all your bills on time, you should have a decent credit bureau score to start off with. And finally, if you can't wait to have your own space, I mean, you have a growing family or you're fed up of paying those rent, then I feel that you're ready to buy, and especially in the given market situation, with the house prices are at the lowest in last 1 year. I think it's a good time, and you're ready. Um, some of the critical components of a mortgage is what I like to educate my clients in the first meeting, and it helps them to make that informed and sensible decision. I think we're jumping on to the next slide. Sorry, the one after we already spoke about. Yeah. So when you talk about the critical components of mortgage, I mean, there are a lot of things which you as a first time home buyer should be educated on and should be aware of before you actually entering the market. And this is a conversation I love having with my clients in the first meeting. We talk about the Bank of Canada stress test. We talk about the down payment. We talk about penalties. We talk about rates. We talk about mortgage type, terms, amortization, payment frequency, and prepayment clauses. So we go into the details of all these components, and then then the customer at the end of it is able to make a good and right decision as well. So when we talk about the mortgage stress test and the qualifying rate, um, in layman terms, the Bank of Canada has a stress test. They stress test you on a higher rate than the actual prime rate. They just want to make sure that you don't default or are able to afford the mortgages, even if the rates increases in future. So just to give you an example, if the current rate of mortgage is, let's say, 5.5%, they stress test you at 7.5%, which is 2% higher than the actual mortgage. Is for the fact that in case if mortgage prices were to go up to 7.50, you still are able to pay. You're not defaulting on it. So it's a very important factor, and then that we stress test you, and then you don't default on your mortgages in spite of the temporary increase in the interest rates. We talk about the down payment, which is also a critical factor in you qualifying for the mortgages. Where you are able to buy your home as minimum as 5% down. I mean, obviously you could still go for 10, 15, and 20% as well if you have, but the minimum requirement as per the Bank of Canada is a 5% down as long as you income qualify. Obviously, there's a premium attached. There's a default insurance and premium attached to it when you're paying less than 20% down, which is built into your mortgage. I mean, you don't have to pay anything upfront. All that premium and the insurance premium gets added to the mortgage over a period of 25-year amortization. With 20% down, obviously, that becomes a conventional mortgage, and you get a little bit of advantages in terms of you don't pay that insurance premium. And then, you also get qualified for like the higher amount of mortgage as well if you're paying 20% down, but you don't have to. 5% is minimum you require. And 5% is good enough for the properties prices up to $999,000. $1 less than $1 million. As long as you $1 less than $1 million purchase price, you're able to qualify on 5 or 10 or 15% down, as long as you income qualify. But as soon as the purchase price goes to $1 million or above, the minimum required by Bank of Canada is 20%. And when talking about the down payments, we always talk about the gifts for the down payment. You can have a financial gift from a parent or a blood relative, which can be used as a down payment, either from Canada or overseas. So basically, when I'm talking to people when they're planning to buy, and a lot of people like to talk well in advance and get prepared. We talk about the down payment, how they're going to arrange the down payment, and what kind of savings they have, and what can they bring in from back home, overseas, or from relatives here in Canada as well, which can be shown as a gift payment. So which is definitely allowed for first-time home buyers, as long as you own or occupy that property. That's your primary property, it's not a rental property. You definitely are allowed to take gifts. In some cases, I've even advised my clients to borrow a small amount from their line of credit as well. Sometimes you don't have no other debts like car loans. You don't have any other debts, and then you are allowed a certain percentage of debt in your qualification from Bank of Canada. So if you don't have any debts, I advise you to go to your bank and try to get a small line of credit of 10, 15, 20,000, and we could actually use that as part of the down payment as well if you have no other debts. So these are some of the conversation we have on the down payment side.
Is there an amount for the gift, or any amount can be gifted?
Any amount can be gifted as long as you're not within a year into the country as a new to Canada. If you're new to Canada, you need to have minimum 5% from your own savings, and rest you can borrow. But if you're over a year in the country and not considered as a new to Canada, you can literally borrow the most of it, as long as you just have the closing cost, which is only 1.5% of
with
the
regards
purchase
to the
price.
gift, I'm asking. So the parental gift or the sibling gift, is there an amount? Is there a maximum or a minimum amount?
There is no maximum or minimum. Literally, they can pay you the whole 20% as well, as long as you have the closing cost.
Excellent. So is there a letter required something required with that regards?
That's a great question. So the process is very, very simple. So basically, we have a gift letter which is like a one pager from the bank who we approving you with, and you just have, it has the donor's name, it has your name, it has the relationship, and donors the address and the phone number, and they just have to sign it to say they are giving you this amount as a gift, which is not on a returnable basis. Obviously, you could return it afterwards, but that's what you say. But it's not, gift is obviously not supposed to be returned. So basically, yeah, it's a very simple one-page gift letter which we get our clients to sign and the donors to sign, and then yeah, it is accepted by most banks.
Okay.
And in most cases, we don't even require any bank statements for the family or the relatives back home. We just okay with just a gift letter.
Any questions from our first-time home buyers?
Not so far. Maybe there are some questions coming up later on in the, yeah, just you can just stop me and I would love to answer.
So, with borrowing, like if I have no debts and I'm gonna borrow a line of credit, are we looking? What's the maximum? Would it depend on how much I make?
Correct. So that's a great question as well, Andrea. So yes, so it depends on your income and your debt ratios. So sometimes some people are able to borrow 10,000 and they're still within the ratios. Sometimes you can go up to 15 or 20,000 as well, or sometimes not even 5,000 is enough because of the lower income as well. So that's based on your income and debt ratios, and which your mortgage broker should be able to guide once they run the rough numbers with you. The qualifying numbers, they should be able to guide you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And are you going to elaborate on the other points as well with regards
Yeah. I am going to. We're going to stay on the same slide, and we're going to talk about the other parameters or the components as well. So the other component, which is an important component here, is a penalty as well. Well, before the penalties, I would like to talk about the mortgage. I think, give me a second.
Did we cover rate?
Yeah, so we'll talk about the penalties as well. We'll talk about the mortgage rate actually first. So mortgage rates are very important as well. So you can choose between a fixed or a variable rate mortgage, right? The variable rate mortgage obviously goes up and down with the change of prime rate by the Bank of Canada periodically, which has been a little bit more often in the past 7 to 8 months, and it has gone up as well drastically. And on the other hand, but these used to be traditionally low rates on the variable. However, currently is trending on a higher side, the variable rates. On the other hand, you also have fixed rates, which are pretty fixed rates are like locked in for a full term chosen. So for example, you can have a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 year term, and you are aware of what you're going to pay on each month, and it's not going to go up or down or change with the market. So that's the other option available we talk to customers about as well, between fixed and variable. So I like to show them what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of fixed versus variable. And one of the advantages with variable, which was going to be our other point, was the penalties. So basically, if you were on a variable rate and if you were to refinance your home within the term or sell your home, or in a way, layman's language, break the term within the term, so you have penalties associated with it. For example, for a variable rate, it's a 3-month interest penalty. So for example, if you're paying $3,000 monthly mortgage, and let's say if your $1,000 is $2,000 is the interest portion of it, and 1,000 is a principal. If you were to break the term, they would charge you $2,000 multiplied by 3, which is $6,000 for the penalty when you were to break the mortgage, because that's your 3 months interest penalty. Versus,
I had a question. Is that the same for all banks? Is that like a fixed kind of thing?
That's a standard for all banks. That's kind of a Bank of Canada guideline. So it's always a 3-month interest penalty. However, good question. I've seen certain banks deviating from it, and very rarely I've seen them having like a 12-month penalty as well, interest penalty as well. But most top lenders are based on 3 months interest penalty on a variable rate mortgage. And coming to the fixed rate penalties, those are based on a little bit of a complicated formula called interest rate differential, IRD, which is more sort of, if I have to tell you in a layman's language, which is more sort of like your posted rate when you're breaking the mortgage, which is the posted rate of the bank on their website, minus your current rate multiplied by number of months remaining in the term. So overall, in nutshell, I would say fixed rate penalties comes out to be a little bit higher than a variable rate penalties. So
Much more higher, right? Like, so I've had customers where they have discovered that they had to pay like $20,000 to $25,000, $30,000, as much as $30,000 to break their fixed mortgage. Sometimes they realize that after the sale is over, right? So this is a very good point, Rohit, that the clients need to understand that there is a penalty, and there is a hefty penalty if you break a fixed.
Right. And you're exactly right. I've seen those higher penalties on the fixed side, and that's why I said that's probably a downside to fixed. However, having that conversation initially with the client, and having that conversation, what is their plan for next 5 years? Are they planning to sell in within 5 years? Are they actually planning to to refinance and take some equity out and make some investments in next 5 years? Then obviously my recommendation for those clients, if they're definitely thinking of either buying a bigger home or a better home or refinancing, I would suggest them to go with variable, because we know they're going to break the term, and they want to be paying the least penalty to them versus a higher penalty for fixed. But obviously fixed rate is for the people who doesn't want to touch their mortgage for 5 years. They want stability, and they want to pay off their mortgage. The making those prepayments, making those accelerated payments. Yes, then the fixed is for you. Then you don't have to worry about those hefty penalties.
Absolutely. Excellent points.
Yeah. And then moving on to the mortgage type. So we talk about the closed mortgage term, which comes with a lower rate. Typically, that's the typical choice for the most Canadian homeowners. We all go for like variable closed or fixed closed term, which obviously has a penalty associated to it, but the rates are obviously way lower versus the open mortgage. So now, what is an open mortgage? So open term is where it's mostly used for the short-term investments, which you would like to pay off in like 3 to 6 months. For example, if someone has bought a home and they want to renovate it and sell it in like 3 to 6 months, maybe it's a good idea to get an open mortgage versus the closed, and then pay a little bit of a higher interest, but you don't pay any penalties by the end of the term, because it's an open mortgage. To give you an example of the rate difference between the two, there's roughly a rate difference of about 2%, which is substantial on the open side. But obviously, if it's a short-term investment, you're going to make money out of it. You're going to renovate, sell it for a higher price. You might want to just not get into that closed contract. You can just be in an open mortgage.
When you say it's, I had another question. When it's 2% more, so then a variable, do they stress test me again another 2% higher than that?
They would. Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, you got to be stress tested at a higher rate for the open mortgage as well, which obviously makes it a little bit more difficult to qualify as well. But if you are able to qualify, and if it's a short-term investment, then you could probably consider the open term as well. Then we also talk about the mortgage term with our clients. In the first meeting as well, we talk about the 5-year term, which is the most commonly used at the lowest rate. But looking at the lowest rate available in the market, we sometimes suggest them to have a short-term fixed rate as well, 1-year, 2-year rates as well at times. But 5-year is the most, I would say, the most common choice by the Canadians. So 5-year terms are the most common. However, lately what we've seen is, because the fixed rates have recently gone down a little bit, and especially on a 1, 2, 3-year terms, and the variable has no stability, and we're not sure if they're going to increase anymore, people have started opting for 1 or 2-year fixed terms as well lately. I've seen in the last month or two. Then we talk about the amortization, so which is sometimes depends on how much percentage down are you making. So, for example, if you're going with a 5% down qualification, you're always given a 25-year amortization if it's an insured deal. You could choose to go up to 30 years if you're paying 20% down as well. I mean, if you can qualify, you can still be a 25 year or a 30 year as long as you're paying 20% down. We talk about the payment frequency. I mean, you can pay your mortgage payments either monthly, semi-monthly, bi-weekly. You can accelerate your payments as well, bi-weekly or weekly or monthly as well. And I would say that's a great feature to have as well. And it's very easy to, choose your payment frequency. It's just a one phone call away to your bank, or you can even mention that to your mortgage broker at the time of qualification, and they can set you up on like a bi-weekly or a weekly. The difference being is, I always suggest to my customers to go for like more frequent payments. I mean, if they can afford to and if they can be disciplined, they could actually go weekly or a bi-weekly, which is obviously better than a monthly because it's a daily interest which is being charged by the bank. And you don't want to pay them after like 29 days of interest and then pay on 30th day. I would rather suggest you to pay more frequent, so that way on over the period of time, the compounding interest, you would end up cutting down your amortization if you're paying a lot more frequently. And you don't have to pay accelerated, you don't have to pay the higher amount if you don't want to. What you can just say is, if I pay 3,000 a month, just divide that into 4, or divide that into like 2, so which you're paying more frequent. So that's one suggestion I always give to people, and people have seen reduction in their amortization if they're paying more frequently. And last but not the least, we discuss about the prepayment. Now, prepayment privilege, a lot of people like as well, and most of the banks allows you up to 15% of a mortgage amount as a prepayment every calendar year. I mean, if you are one of those who like to pay off your home soon and you get your bonuses and you want to use that for a down payment, or sorry, for a prepayment, you could very well do that. You can pay 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 a year towards your mortgage, and it all goes towards your principal, reducing your principal as well. So prepayment clause, a lot of people like it, and especially want to pay off their home sooner than later.
Excellent points. So,
Yeah.
so Rohit, so this is, I think, a gist for our first-time home buyers. It's not only just looking for the lowest rate, but in order to get a good mortgage, you need to understand the mortgage type, whether it's fixed or variable, what's the penalty involved, what's the mortgage term, what's the amortization, what payment frequency you can pick, and also what are the prepayment terms. So,
Correct.
so these are some of the factors, the key components of a mortgage, and these are a part of the contract of the mortgage contract, right? So you need to consult with Rohit. Take a free appointment or a free consultation and discuss these things before you make a decision and see what's right for you.
Correct. I love these conversations, and that's why I'm into this industry. I'm really passionate about this job of mine, and it's not just about the deal for me. Having that conversation, educating the clients, talking about all these important components or the critical factors. A lot of times, the customers come to me and say, "I wasn't even aware of it." After talking to you about these important or critical components, I'm much more well prepared to even talk to anyone in the industry or talk to anyone else, or a bank or another mortgage broker. And then it's great to have this conversation, and I love having the conversation anyway. So yeah, I'm more than welcome to get in touch with me.
Absolutely. Should we move on?
Yeah, we will move on to the next slide, and we'll get into the most important bit, which is definitely we were aiming for today's session, was to have our first time home buyers know about what benefits are available for them in the market as a first time home buyer. So yeah, the first and foremost and the most popular one is the RRSP home buyer plan. So basically, as a first-time home buyers, the federal government home buyer plan allows you to withdraw funds from your registered retirement saving. I think I will start from the beginning. So basically, once you have your tax year, or once you have your tax paid off for the year, you get your notice of assessment. On your notice of assessment, you do have your RSP limit. And it can be a 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. And then you can, as a first-time home buyer, deposit up to 35 or even more on RSP, but you're able to only redeem 35,000. So for the first-time home buyer, so I would say you can invest up to 35,000 or whatever limit you have on RSP into the registered retirement saving plan. And once you buy the home and you have the agreement of sale and purchase with the accepted offer, you can actually go back. You can actually go back to the bank and redeem it. It has to be in your bank for 90 days. If you withdraw it before 90 days, you would not get the benefit. It has to be, so you got to plan in advance. So it has to be in your bank minimum 90 days before you can redeem it as a first-time home buyer. And what benefit you get out of it is you take that money out. It's like there's no tax on that, and you use that money towards your down payment. And for that tax year or for the next tax year, you get a tax rebate or a tax benefit for having that money, in RSP. So although you have that money in RSP, you've redeemed it, you've used it for a first-time home buyer, but it reduces your taxable income for that year. So that amount of RSP is now being reduced from your taxable income for that year, which produces a tax refund. Depending upon the income and contribution amount of RSP, this refund can be up to 25% of the contributed amount. For example, if you investing 20,000, you could possibly get a tax refund of 5,000 in that year's tax because of the RSP. However, you have to repay this amount back into the RSP account within next 15 years period. So basically, this is an RSP amount which you invested, which you're borrowing back from RSP as a first-time home buyer down payment. You're getting a tax rebate of 25% of the amount, but eventually you'll have to return this money over a 15-year period of time, which is I would say it's not substantial at all. So even if it's a 20,000 divided by 15 years, it's roughly about 1,400 in the whole year you have to pay back. And then, so you would have to repay that money into RSP, and you can only avail it once you're 65 and over.
I have a question.
Mhm.
If I, don't do this and I leave my RSPs and I buy a home, if I buy a second home, could I take advantage of this program?
So you can't if you've already used that for the first-time home buyer.
You can if you've already used it.
If you've used it. So as per the definition, it means you haven't owned and lived in another home for last 4 years.
Okay.
Then only you would qualify for an RSP home buyer plan.
Okay.
You have to
It's
be
only applicable for the first time.
yes. So
If
the
you don't use
eligibility
it, you'll
conditions.
lose it. Yeah.
Yeah, eligibility conditions includes you should be considered as a first-time home buyer. You should have an agreement of sale and purchase of the house you're buying. You should be a Canadian resident, and it should be your primary home. Right. Okay. Any questions on RSP before I move on to the next slide?
Yeah, there's one thing I want to contribute with the RSP home buyers plan. So it's very difficult to save, right? Money to put towards your RSP. So what I have personally done is that I go and take a loan, RSP loan, to contribute to my RSP.
Right.
So
That's
depending
smart.
on your credit score and your income, you could borrow as less as $5,000 to probably up to $10,000 to $15,000 depending on your income and credit score. So you can borrow money from the bank. Obviously, you're paying whatever interest is applicable, but you're borrowing money and you are putting in your RSP account, but you're getting an immediate tax saving, right? That's the key thing here, is that you are borrowing money that you didn't have, and you're saving the tax, and you're getting a rebate. You're getting a tax rebate, and with that tax rebate, you can double up on the savings, and yeah, you can even do the same thing with if you have a partner or a spouse, right? You both can borrow the loan, RSP loan, and save towards the RSP home buyers program.
Right, right. And just to add to that, so although that's a great point, you could have an RSP loan to invest in RSP as well. But when it's a loan, obviously that comes into the debt ratio as well. So you'll have to speak to your mortgage broker on how much you could borrow
Yeah.
on an RSP loan, so that you still is not impacting your qualification.
Yeah,
But
it
like
is.
you
It is
said,
like a forced savings, Rohit. What happens is that when you do that, right, it's a forced savings, but you are paying it off monthly. Let's
right,
say during the year you're paying it
right,
off. So
right,
at the end of the year, it's a wash. You forced saved it,
correct.
right? So like you might be buying your home, like say 3 years down the road or 4 years down the road, but by that time you've already paid off this loan, so you won't have that at the time of
Correct.
purchase.
Yeah, but we got to consider that RSP loan at the time of qualification if it fits into your debt
If,
ratios.
if there is still a pending a loan, if you've cleared it
Correct.
off,
Correct.
then no, yeah,
Yeah, as long as, yeah, if there's anything pending, we'll have to
pending,
count that in debt ratios. If it's not, it's not.
yeah.
Great. So we'll move on to the next slide. We'll talk about the first time home buyer incentive. What is the first time home buyer incentive? It was launched in September 2019 through a federal government with CMHC. This program offers access to an interest-free loan to help first-time homebuyers to get into their first real estate investment. So the government will top up your down payment by 5% on most homes or 10% on new builds based on a shared equity mortgage. So, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So, as of the update on June 1st, 2022, the government of Canada is now limiting its share in the appreciation of your home to a maximum gain of 8% per annum. So, which means obviously there are some clauses for you to qualify. Well, if you qualify, you can get up to 5 to 10% from government added to your down payment. However, that would be based on a shared equity. So you'll have to share your equity with government when you sell the property. So they will take the maximum gain of 8% per annum on that incentive. But I feel it's a good partnership, because if you have 5% down and you're borrowing another 5, that makes you qualify for a little bit more. You pay less CMHC insurance premium for paying 10% down, and then your property grows as well over the years, and once you sell, obviously you pay whatever the 8% to government as well on the total equity of the house as well, which I think is a win-win deal. What do you think, Wes?
Um, I mean, yes, this is a limited program. You have to qualify for it.
Correct.
Me personally, I like 100% ownership of my place.
Hmm.
I don't want any partners, because
Correct.
if they are partners, they will ask for their share of the equity.
Correct.
So that's just my 2 cents. That this is a program that you have to qualify for.
Correct.
So if you qualify, great. If not, just choose to have your home all 100% equity for yourself, and then whatever you gain is yours. You don't have to share it with the government.
Correct, and that's
Is
why
there
you're right. That's why it's the very limited people who are actually, first of all, qualifying, and secondly, those who wants to borrow this money from the government as well. And obviously, there are some eligibility criteria as well. If you're a first-time home buyer, you should be a first-time home buyer, and your household income must be less than 120K, 150K if you live in Toronto, Vancouver, and Victoria, and you should have your original down payment of at least 5% available to you as well before you can enter or qualify for this
is there a
incentive.
maximum value of the property that you're buying to I guess it
That's a
depends.
great question. Yeah. So it is about 4.5 times of your income, or in Toronto, and I hope I'm not wrong on the number. In Toronto, Vancouver, and Victoria, it's six times of your income. So basically, the 150 multiplied by 6, which is the income criteria.
And it doesn't matter if it's it has to be at home. So it has to be a condo, a townhouse, a home.
Correct.
Wouldn't qualify if it was a piece of land or anything like that.
It won't qualify if it's a piece of land. It has to be like the house or a condo, like you said, or any type of home or a new build. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks,
Cool.
Rohit. Let's move on.
Moving on to the next one, and I would like a little bit of input from Wes on this one. The first home saving account, the tax-free saving. It's a registered account to help individuals save for a home. The contribution are tax deductible, and earnings in this account grow tax-free as well. The annual contribution is up to 8,000, which are tax deductible, and with a limit of 40,000 in total for the lifetime. And you can actually, work on have this tax-free saving account in conjunction with your RRSP. And basically, you could use both these accounts to use as a down payment for your house and get some, tax rebate or a tax-free money.
Absolutely. This is such a great idea. If you have already maxed out on your RRSPs, because it's RRSP is 18% of your income. So if you've already maxed out on the RRSP, you could do $8,000 additional saving with the first time home savings account. So this is coming into effect 1st of April 2023. So you are getting this information ahead of time. So I would encourage all the viewers to go and open an account who are first-time home buyers. So open an account with your bank on April 1st. So remember, April 1st, you're going to be opening your first home savings account with your bank, and you can avail of this tax-free, because there's this account you don't have to pay it back. Like unlike your RRSPs, you have to pay back the money in 15 years, whereas this account is ideally for saving for your first home, and it's tax-free, and all this money is towards your down payment, and you don't ever have to pay this back for the rebate.
Correct. Right. So we'll move on to the next slide. We wanted to give you some important tips for your first mortgage, while we've now discussed most of the benefits for a first-time home buyer. And just before I move on to the important tips, I would say there's another benefit which you enjoy in terms of the land transfer tax. You can, as a first-time home buyer, you do get a rebate of up to $4,000 on your closing costs. So this is not the money in your pocket. This is the money which you would pay less at the time of the closing, and it will be deducted from your closing costs. So basically, you would pay less on the closing cost with this rebate on the land transfer fee. Moving on to the important tips for your first mortgage. I would say, whether you're planning to buy or you're looking for future, if a year from now, 6 months from now, choose a highly skilled mortgage broker, speak to them. By what I mean by highly skilled mortgage broker is someone who's ready to, have that conversation with you, to educate you, make you aware of those important critical mortgage components, give you that insight and knowledge into the rates, down payments, penalties, etc. And then without worrying about getting a deal out of you. So basically,
let me simplify that, Rohit. Just call Rohit and he'll take care of it.
Thank you. I would love that. And then also beware of some ultra low rates the internet offers. What I've seen is lot of these marketing gimmicks or the marketing. I've seen the rates being flashed, which are like pretty unreasonable, or there are some hidden clauses with it. Some of my customers have gone to online and Googled the lowest rates, and they've come back to me and said, these are the rates available in the market. And sometimes it's true, but most of the times is there's some kind of hidden,
Yeah, too
there's
good to be
something
true, right?
too good
It's
to be
too
true.
good to be
Too good to be
true
true.
that it is, not right for you, because, like Rohit did mention, you have to look at the rates along with the other components of the mortgage, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
looking at just the rates, you are just going after that carrot, and you're going to be hooked and fished, right? So, it's very important that you look at the rate, at the terms, your whether it's the fixed or variable rate, or if what is the amortization, or is it the closed term or open term, and
Correct.
what are the prepayment conditions, right? What are the penalties, right? So you need to look at the mortgage contract as a whole, and not
Correct.
just look at the rate. So very important point there. Okay.
Correct. Thank you, Wes. I think that was perfect, the way you explained. Then work with a professional realtor and real estate lawyer. I always say to most of my customers, I think you need to have five good people in your team in Canada if you were to be successful. And then it starts with a doctor. You need to have a good doctor. You need to have a good accountant, someone who you can rely on, someone who's ethical, honest. Then you need to have a good real estate broker. You need to have a good mortgage broker like myself, and you need to have a good real estate lawyer as well. So these five people are critical to your success in the country. And once you've found that right person, you've tried and tested them, you've found the right person, I would say stick to them, be loyal, because now you know there are all kind of people in the market, and you're not sure of their intentions as well. I would say hard to find good, ethical, honest people, and once you found them, just keep them.
Yeah, very good point, Rohit. I want to just add to that point. It's very important that your realtor, mortgage broker, are aligned with your goals, right? Because we have dealt with many clients who like to have multiple properties, and we are ourselves, have multiple properties, and then we have guided people into developing that multiple property portfolio, right? So, making sure that your mortgage broker, your realtor, is aligned with your real estate goals, right? And also, it's very important to understand, that even their nature, is complementing yours, right? So you need to work with a person that understands your requirements and also understands your temperament, because real estate is sometimes emotional journey. It's sometimes very stressful, right? So you need to be with a person who can guide you through this emotional journey. It's a first time buyers is a very emotional purchase, right? So you need to understand the psychology of the client, the requirements of the client, and you need to be able to handle situations like multiple offers, right? Going back and forth with the offer, making sure that the deposits are right, the down payment is right, making sure that all the pre-approval work is done, your qualification is done, right? So having a good mortgage broker along with a good realtor, I think is a winning combination for the first-time home buyer. You absolutely need these two people, and of course, we have great people that we work with when they're real estate lawyers, home inspectors, etc. That we will guide you through with these professionals as well. We have a team of professionals. Rohit's familiar. We use Adam for home inspections. For lawyers, we have multiple lawyers who are very qualified, who do 10 to 16 deals a day, doing their closings, right? So they're very, very experienced people. So contact us. We'll be a part of your team, and we understand your requirements, and we'll have those discussions. And we are offering right now free consultation with Rohit, who's our mortgage broker. 30 minutes free consultations, and he will guide you through your plan. You will discuss what is your goals, towards real estate, or your first home purchase, etc. Right?
Sure.
Anything else, Rohit?
Yeah. So I just want to add, when you were talking about the good team of people we have to help our clients, we do have some appraisers as well.
Hmm.
Because the getting the value at this point is difficult for some of our clients, and who have bought properties last year on high, and then suddenly the rates have dropped, and then the appraisal rates have become a challenge. The appraisal value have become a challenge. So we do know some appraisers who works for TD, Scotia, and Bank as well, and then they could help us a little bit. Not like, I'm not saying that they would do what we not want, but we do have some relationship, and then they can help us a little bit here and there, whatever is within the obviously guidelines. Yeah, so that's we do have a team, like you said. We do have people who help us with the staging of the house or the renovation of the house as well, like home inspectors, etc., etc. So yeah, definitely. And I guess we have another slide as well. We have another couple of slides to go as well.
Sure.
Yeah, and the next step for the important tip for your first mortgages, like we discussed, plan for down payment and closing costs. So think about how you're going to have the down payment, what percentage, what gifts can you borrow, etc., etc. You would always need a little bit of more than the down payment as a closing cost. So, for example, if the down payment is 5%, you need to have another 1.5% of the purchase price for your closing costs, which includes your lawyer fee, land transfer, and the titles, etc., etc. Um, and also, last but not the least, start gathering those important documents for mortgage approvals. Which are very basic documents, like your income documents, your down payment documents. You make sure you check your credit bureaus and make sure you're on top of it, and then you at least have a score of 650 plus, if not 700. So it's important to gather those important documents as well. And then we would say in our last slide that you're ready to get started. Um, so when we talk about you being ready to get started, you need, like we discussed, you need to give your mortgage broker a call, run your numbers. And then by running the number doesn't mean we're going to pull up your credit. We're going to ask you for documents upfront. So with me, it's a pretty simple process. So, you call me. I just need 10 minutes just to know you a little bit, what you do, how much you earn, what are some of your debts, what are your possible down payments. And I can do a quick run of estimated numbers, or I would say a verbal qualification, without even asking you for your documents or without even checking your credit bureau. And we're not supposed to check your credit bureau till you actually make that offer and the offer is accepted, and we get a written consent from you to pull up the bureau anyway. So don't hesitate, just have that conversation with your mortgage broker. Get pre-approved. We can get you the pre-approval from the bank. We would verify some of your income documents, and then we can actually take your case to the bank without you having the property. So it's based on your profile, how much you earn, how much you qualify for. So we can get you a pre-approval, which is a great thing to have in your hand before you go and negotiate your deal with the seller. Um, Getting the down payment ready, as we discussed. Work with the realtor to find the perfect home for you. What type of home, what city, what price, depending on your qualification on the pre-approval. Connect with your mortgage broker to finalize your mortgage application and get approved for the best rate with the right lender as well. And lastly, when you close your property, boost your down payment. Having those options by accelerating your payments, paying more frequently, prepaying for your home wherever possible to reduce your amortization. So, think of those things. And I want to leave you with this thought, like I said at the beginning, buying a home is the best decision you can make. Not only you stop paying someone else's mortgage as rent, but your investment grows over time as well. Equity builds up and value appreciates. um, I would personally love to talk to you. I personally love to talk about real estate and mortgages. It's my like bread and butter. I live and breathe mortgages. So I'm not worried about just getting a deal out of you. I would love to have that conversation with you, whether you're buying now or in future. Like I said, I don't pull any credit bureaus or ask you for any documents upfront. Having a conversation is to get to know your profile and provide you with a verbal qualification is what I would do. So yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you, and I thought, I hope this was helpful.
Very much.
Andrea, your thoughts? Any questions? Last comments?
Well, you guys taught me how to save for my down payment, so that's good. I'm just wondering what rate I should go with, if it's variable or fixed, if I'm looking to buy a home in the
Great
next.
question, Andrea, and that's actually the biggest question I get with nowadays with the current market situation. Technically, ideally, when the variable rates were lower, I would have asked you to go with variable because it gives you flexibility on the penalty. You can chop and change. You can even change to fixed while you're on variable. Within the term without paying any penalties and all that. So variable would have been a better choice in the past, but lately what I've seen is the variable rates keeps going up, and the fixed have recently come down because of the bond yields have gone cheaper. So I would say right now the choice for most of the people is a 1 or 2 year fixed while we're going through this unstable market. I would say if you can get yourself into a good 1 or 2 year fixed term rate, it's not a bad choice in short term.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And I guess this next question is for Ways. If I live in Toronto now and I pay rent, so I haven't run my numbers yet, but maybe I could qualify for about 750. Should I stay in the GTA, buy a condo? What can that get me? And how far do I have to go?
Excellent. See, it's all about choices and lifestyle. So if you are a person who is working downtown and you want to have a lifestyle where you can lock the condo and go downstairs and or take a vacation and not bothered with snow shoveling or landscaping or lawn mowing, right? Then I would say a condo is a good choice for you, right? And if you're a person who's like, okay, you know what, I need my backyard, I need that extra space, whether it's for kids or for pets or for yourself to grow a garden or relax at the backyard. So if you need a backyard, then I would say, you live outside on the outskirts, but still live where there's good access to the TTC or to the GO train, where you can easily, go downtown within 45 to 1 hour. And so if you are willing to do that, we could get you a townhouse, let's say in the east side or on the west side, and then you could transport in or transit into the city, or you live in the city and you can have the condo lifestyle.
Yeah, I was going to add something. I was going to ask you, be a little bit more specific. I get this from a lot of my clients, and I know the answer, but I want you to, being an expert on the real estate, I want to give that answer. A lot of people say, they're only getting qualified for a condo, but they don't want to buy a condo due to the maintenance fee.
Yeah.
So especially we've seen that in the South Asians where we want to buy something with a backyard and a garage and we want to own the land. What do you have to say? Is it a good time to buy condos? Is it fair to buy a condo, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, see, one thing you need to understand is that real estate, we call it a real estate ladder, right? If you want to go to the top, you need to start somewhere. You need to start the first step. If you are only qualified for, let's say, $550,000, right, and you want a home, then you might have to go to Windsor, right? That might not be practical.
Correct.
Right? But because your work and your family or kids need to go to school in the city, right? So I would say that buying a condo is nothing to be ashamed of. It's your condo. It's better than renting. And think about it this way: is that you're buying your second home or second investment property first, right? You buy the condo, stay in it for a year, pay it down, it appreciates, and talk to Rohit in 6 to 8 months. we will refinance the condo for you, get a good chunk of deposit for your home, and then you have a condo and a home. So in 2 years, we've got many clients of ours who we have done that. Like first we qualified them for the condo. They lived in the condo for maybe a year or 2 years, and guess what? Some of the condos have gone up in value almost 50%, right? And then we were able to take the equity out and get them a second home. So we are experts, guys, in having multiple properties. To answer your question, Rohit, we will get them the home that they want, but they have to start somewhere, right?
Correct. And I would just add to it, and pertaining to the condo fee, right? A lot of people are a little bit worried about that 500, 400 condo fee, which I understand. It's on top of the mortgage amount. Obviously, the condo comes at a cheaper price, so the mortgage amount is also lower. You add the little bit of a condo fee to it, it comes with certain benefits. The condo fees can sometimes get you some kind of utility which comes included in it. It gets you the garbage, it gets you the concierge security, and it gets you that recreational activities like swimming pool certain times and a gym and all that. So it doesn't come free. It's not free. So it obviously has its value to it. And then if, like Wes said, if that's what you're qualifying for, it's still better than having to rent and pay someone else's mortgage. You can start off with the condo, and then you can just stay there for a year or two, make that equity, and then move on and make that as a rental property in future.
And guess what, Rohit? Once it becomes a rental property, that condo fee is actually a write-off.
Correct. Once it's a rental property, you can write off the whole mortgage interest in your
And the condo
taxes.
fee.
Correct.
Yeah. So, guys, hopefully it was an enlightening session, right? And lots of information. So we are going to be posting this on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and you can share this with your friends and family. And if they have any questions, reach out to Rohit.
Yeah, you can
Rohit, your phone
Yeah,
number?
next slide. It's on next slide.
All right. So there you go. Reach out to Rohit and reach out to me as well. I'm your realtor who understands your needs, and we can take it further. Rohit and I, our team, we worked well together for like almost, it's been 3 years now, and we have very satisfied clients. And if you go to Rohit's Rohit Kohli and see the Google reviews, Rohit's got a 5-star reviews.
Kohli
So
Mortgages.
Kohli Mortgages, yes. So Kohli Mortgages, and yeah, thanks for watching. Is there anything else before we close?
No, I'm
Oh,
all
thank
good.
you. Appreciate.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone, for listening in. It was a pleasure.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thank
And
you.
keep
Take
tuned
care.
next time for next time. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.